5 minutes after 11 o'clock. You dancing over there, Joe?
I like the intro music. What can I say?
It relieves the stress, doesn't it?
I need a lot of intro music then.
Move around.
Jazz, smooth jazz intro music, yoga. Give me whatever you got.
We had a very brief conversation with our next guest off the air. Now we get to speak to her on the air. She is Dr. Mithu Storoni. I hope I said her name right. I got a little lesson.
Don't get stressed out about it now.
It says here she's an ophthalmologist, a neuro-ophthalmologist, a researcher, and a teacher of hot yoga. And she's written a book called Stress Proof, the scientific solution to protect your brain and body to be more resilient every day. Oh, my gosh, brain and body. Dr. Mithu Storoni, good morning, doctor. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
How does an ophthalmologist become a yoga teacher? It seems like they're kind of two different ends of something. I don't know.
It's all about focus. You focus with the eyes, you focus with the mind.
Oh.
Right?
Or you know what? We've had eye doctors in the studio, and they will tell us that you can see if somebody is having health issues by looking at the retina. Is that true?
Absolutely. You can see that the eye is literally the window to the brain. It's the only bit of the brain that's naked to the open eye. You don't have to cut this through the skin. You can actually see the optic nerves.
Ooh.
So it's very, very fascinating area. Yeah, and also your pupils. So the apertures at the front that become smaller and get bigger when you go in the dark or when you get excited. Those tell you so much about what's going on in your mind. So you can actually, if you look into people's eyes often enough, you can tell what they're feeling by looking at their pupils. And I did my PhD thesis was partly on pupils. So it's super fascinating.
So this has a scientific solution. I wanted to ask about that because that almost gives it credentials, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
The word scientific, right?
The scientific gives it credentials for sure. But I'm fascinated about the pupils. You're saying they kind of dilate when you get excited? Like, let's say you're going on a roller coaster and you're excited, your pupils will get larger?
Absolutely. So the pupils are actually incredibly, they're fascinating to me because I researched them, but they're incredibly underappreciated because you have so coming back to our topic of stress, for instance, you talk about the beautiful jazz music. Well, you're listening to jazz music and you're listening to the intro music, your pupils probably shrank a little bit because you were relaxed. And now you're just introduced me as your guest, your pupils have probably dilated a little bit. So the automatic nervous system that we have inside us, we call it the autonomic nervous system, a technical term, but it's essentially the bit of our brain's branches, the centers of our brain that do things without us being aware. And that's the part of the body, the part of our nervous system that mediates the stress response. So that's what makes us, do the fight or flight reflex thing, or it's what makes us relax when we're doing yoga, as you mentioned. And that autonomic nervous system, that automatic nervous system, is very hidden from the rest of the world, but it shows itself through the pupils. So if you actually want to study... Sorry, go on.
I just have a question. The fight or flight response, I still have it. I'm 62. I still have it. But I don't think I can respond as quickly. Like if somebody was going to attack me in the parking lot when I was 18, I could have run away. Now I'm going to have to yell. I can't run away as quick. Are we talking about a way to fix that so that I maybe can be more resilient?
Absolutely, but if you are slower at responding to a fight or flight situation, that's not necessarily a bad thing if that situation is not threatening. So when we are younger, we tend to have a slightly more exaggerated response anyway, and that becomes better with age. But that's just to the acute stressful situation. When we're talking about resilience, it's about recovering from that. It's not necessarily just responding. It is responding as well, but it's also recovering from that.
Okay.
And yes. And this book tells you, I try to tell the reader what they can do to, first of all, actually recover from stressful experiences really quickly. So you can go back to baseline. Your pupils can shrink again to normality. You can go back to baseline. And how to not react to things that are not stressful.
So
I try to tackle it on both of these areas.
So you're saying our reaction is to the action that is being put in front of us should change as we get wiser, per se, or as we learn more?
So, in general, if we were, all still, running after mammoth elephants or running in front of mammoth elephants, they were running after us. If that were the situation, then, everything is proportionate to
Right,
it.
right,
If you see a mammoth elephant, you shouldn't think, you need to run. Right. So, but in our world, in the middle of, I'm in New York, you're in Orlando, is that right? So, wherever you are, the situation is very different. Whether there are no mammoth elephants around you, but you might be stressed by interactions with people. So you're driving to work. That stresses you. Or you've just had an encounter with someone, with a friend or a colleague, and that stresses you. But your response, your reaction to that situation is disproportionately larger than it should be. And if you can train yourself to make it disproportionately smaller so it doesn't affect you, when actually it's not dangerous at all, why should you be affected by it? If you can train yourself to do that, you start accumulating less of a stress load.
Would this work on
load? It's the accumulation of the hits that's bad.
Would this work on road rage, let's say?
Absolutely. Road rage is a classic example of this. We have so much pent-up frustration. We act impulsively. We don't restrain ourselves. We lose that self-control to control our emotions and move on. And that is a classic example of road rage. Absolutely. I think that if everyone were less stressed, there would be less road rage, there'd be less hostility, we'd be much happier.
All right, so Joe and I want to sit in your class. Pretend we're sitting in your class, and we both have road rage issues. What is your lesson to us? What do we need to do?
Yeah, we just seen this idiot cut us off.
Yeah, what should we do?
So if you have an issue, then the thing you need to work on is your attentional control. So it's a technical term, but basically what it means is you need to be able to, there's a little guy sitting in your brain at the front of your head, and that little guy is holding a spotlight, like you get on a stage, on a theater stage.
Okay.
And you want to tell that little guy where to shine the spotlight. But if you have a road rage issue, that little guy is not listening to you. He's taking the spotlight and shining it wherever he likes. And as a result, when you're in that situation, something has stressed you, you want to move on, shift your attention away, don't emotionally react. But that little guy is saying, hey, I'm enjoying this is fun. Keep your attention on what just stressed you out. Get that anger out. Make that anger even worse and worse and worse. Don't move your attention away. That's the problem. So if you train yourself to tell that little guy, to train that little guy to follow your order, your road rage problem will be solved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we can't solve the idiot drivers, but we can solve our reaction to them.
Right.
Absolutely,
basically,
absolutely, and really, the idiot drivers will be less of an idiot driver if you solve your reaction to it. You might find that, actually, maybe that guy, maybe I didn't see something, maybe something just happened, I just missed that, or maybe that guy is taking his wife to the hospital, or maybe the mom's late for school with her child. It's a different way of seeing it. As soon as you start doing that, idiots will no longer be idiots.
All right.
I like that, yeah.
Is food part of this? I mean, does the right food or the wrong food kind of help us with this?
Absolutely. So the brain, when I talk about chronic stress is actually a very big, insidious kind of creature. It acts in so many routes. And the brain responds to its environment, right? So when the brain changes with chronic stress, it changes in response to its environment. What you're eating and the environment it's swimming in, so your blood, your CSF fluid, so the fluid the brain is bathed in, all of that is part of the brain's environment. So if you are not eating the right things, if you're eating at the wrong time, but you're eating the right things, or you're eating too much or too little of the right things, all of these things change the brain's environment, and the brain responds to that change in the way it responds to stress.
The book is called Stress Proof, the scientific solution to protect your brain and body to be more resilient every day. Fascinating topic. I can't wait to read the book. Dr. Mithu Storoni is the author. Doctor, I did find the book on Amazon. Do you have a website you want to recommend to us?
Yes, so my website, mithustoroni.com, so just my name.com. And as you say, it is on Amazon. It's available on ebook, as an audiobook, and of course a hard copy. And I'm also on Twitter at Storoni Mithu. So please tweet me, if you have any questions about the book, if you like it, if there's something you don't understand, and just, give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you.
That's wonderful. Thank you for giving some of your time to us so we could speak about this today. Very interesting stuff.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Doctor. We will take a little break. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident on this.